Never been more ready, ever.
Welcome, everybody. So you can hear Piers there. He's never been so ready for this non-farm number. Better than expected. It's a strong number. Piers, take us through it.
Yeah, so yet again, the market has been surprised to the upside with the US labour market. It's quite extraordinary. Well, I just think it's worth, listen, the expectations from the investment banks and Wall Street are always interesting when there's so much spread. Right, the whisper number.
Yeah,
it moves around a lot, but it's just I've never seen it so far away, so consistently far away from the actual number. 35,000 was the whisper number. We came in at 130. As I said just before, off camera, 135 was the Citigroup estimate. I sent that out to the team earlier on.
Let's show the numbers on screen, please, guys.
When I read that estimate from Citigroup, I thought, wow, that's very aggressive. Goldman were at 45, JP Morgan were middle of the road at 75, and as I just said, the whisper number was at 35. So 130, and the unemployment rate was lower, and average hourly earnings were slightly higher.
Unemployment rate 4.3%. That was expected at 4.4. Yeah. We're meant to be going to 4.5.
Yeah. So
what's happening?
Cold water thrown completely on any argument that the labour market is weakening. For this set of data anyway, and if you add it all up over the last 3 months, there's been noise every time about little bits of reads here and there that we might see little small cracks in the economy. We're just not seeing it. GDP nowcast, as we discussed yesterday, is at 4.2, and those numbers are what they are. Listen, it's interesting. It's really interesting. I think the market is reacting positively. The equity market is reacting positively because I think there's a little bit of relief. Because there's a lot of uncertainty. As you can see, the smartest...
Okay, well, let's go through that. So S&P 500 up 40 basis points, 6,970, right? So we're approaching that 7,000 level that I love to talk about so much. The NASDAQ, 25,250. FTSE up 80 basis points today. What's driving that? Well, of course, now we've probably got a weaker GB pound against the dollar. So that's going to bring more of those revenues in. FTSE up 77 basis points. Then what about the commodities? Well, silver, you would think, would have come off, but it hasn't.
Well, silver was up 7%, and what's it up now? It's up 4.5%. So it's taken 3% off its gain. Listen, silver is trying to go higher again, after a massive sell-off, which makes sense, I suppose. I'm not quite sure how much it's going to get interrupted by these numbers. Listen, the whole thing is just pretty extraordinary, quite frankly. I mean, listen, the fact that we are this late in the game.
I might actually have some copper there, actually. So buying
some copper.
50 pence a point of copper at £6.04. Sorry, $6.04.
Interesting that you're buying copper with the US dollar.
Well,
But nonetheless, copper is just so good anyway. I don't disagree with you, mate.
Yeah, but stronger economy, right? At the moment, we're priced for a slowing in growth, I feel, in copper. So, despite that stronger dollar, and let's just see how much stronger the dollar is. Not that much. You were saying the yen.
Yeah, listen, the macro. It's all well and good for stocks to do what they're doing, but the bond market will tell you first and foremost, the bond and the currency market will tell you what it thinks. And this is one print, right? The bond market are, arguably, or probably not even arguably, they are the smartest people in the room. They've got the biggest money in the room. They will be pricing in what they think it means now and what it means next quarter and so on. So if you look at the 10-year, has had a small spike, nothing too aggressive. Where are we in the 10-year? It's 1.24% up, which obviously is a little spike, but it's just still in its little uptrend. Nothing really to see here. Dollar yen hasn't moved an inch, not an inch. It rallied. The yen rallied 1% overnight, which was a combination of factors, including the retail sales yesterday from the US. You would think that would have completely reversed itself, but that's not the case.
Right, so hang on. The 10-year, you've got trading 4.2 basically. If we're rounding that up, 4.2. You can see that is up 5 on the day, so going from 4.15 to 4.20. Then we've got the 2-year. So of course the 2-year will see a bigger move because this is a shock on how strong the jobs market is. Therefore, you're not going to get rate cuts, chances are you won't get as many rate cuts as you thought. So that 2-year moving up to 3.53. Shall we check the Fed watch as well for percentages of rate cut chances? Well, we already knew we weren't getting one in March. We're probably not going to get one in April now. 80% chance of no cut in April. And then June is now only a 50% chance of a 25 basis point cut.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this whole narrative about aggressive rate cuts is, you've got to be careful about. The only reason why the central bank will be cutting rates is because they're trying to get ahead of a problem with the economy. Well,
no, in this case, though, it's because the president wants it.
Exactly right.
So it's
I'm putting aside the nonsense from Trump. I'm talking about what these guys.
I don't think we can we?
No, I think we can. I think that Trump doesn't have any influence whatsoever over the rate path in any country. I mean, how are you suggesting that he does?
Absolutely. It's the whole
just appointed a guy who. Are we having a serious conversation?
You think that Warsh is not going to be under any pressure from Trump
to cut rates, regardless of what the numbers are?
Yeah.
I just think it's nonsense. I think Trump.
So the whole argument with Powell is just a new person now. So Warsh is the new Powell, and he's appointed a guy that is not going to.
I think this is a very, very, very strange conversation. I think for anyone.
Are you insane?
When you sit there no, I'm not actually. I think out of all the people that he could have picked, he picked the one guy who. Listen, who knows what's going on behind closed doors?
Right, so why in December?
You think they're going to purposely inflate their economy?
Why in December is there a 22% chance of us getting 3 more rate cuts? By December.
Expectations of rate cuts to me are not worth the paper they're written on. I'm just talking about what's actually.
The market's priced on that. How can you say it's not worth the paper it's written on?
Because they change all the time and they're always wrong. Always wrong.
But the market is priced on that, so that means that there are instruments that are priced wrong that you can make money from.
Of course, absolutely. But you and I trying to guess about what Kevin Walsh is going to do is crazy. I think. Listen,
that's what the whole market is.
Are you telling me that if the inflation remains sticky and the economy remains hot, that he's going to cut rates?
I mean, he's under
make
pressure
it hotter.
too.
Well, I think this is a crazy
Trump's
situation.
whole point.
Yeah, I know, but Trump doesn't have any influence over the Fed, and he never will, in my opinion. So that's that. That's my opinion.
He hasn't had upon this point, right? That's the whole argument, Fed independence. Yeah. But with his appointment of Kevin Warsh,
who, by the way, is an inflation hawk.
Yeah.
So, this is a big game of smoke and mirrors, and he's about to purposely inflate his own economy, which, by the way, will kill his economy. I just don't buy it, mate. Sorry, you're asking the wrong guy if you think that I'm going to think that there's any influence going on in the Fed.
There must be a trade on this, though, right? So let's say somewhere between.
If the market's pricing in loads of rate cuts, as you just mentioned, listen. the forward rate, the dot plots and the market, the futures market for the bond market is of course very important. That is what the market's priced on. All I'm saying is historically those expectations and those trades have been wrong so many times. And if people are pricing in loads of rate cuts based on Kevin Walsh's appointment, to me that's absolute nonsense.
Not based on his appointment, right? Let's say it had been Rick Reader.
Yeah.
Right. Then you would be.
That guy definitely wouldn't be listening to Trump.
But
yeah.
Somewhere there was a chance of us getting 3 rate cuts, right? Yes, I agree. Kevin Walsh, less chance. That's why gold and silver crashed. But they're making their way back up. So the gold and silver markets believe that you're still getting more accommodative policy.
Say that again.
Accommodative.
Yeah. And listen, my view on this, as you well know, is that it's all a bunch of nonsense. Quite frankly, the market always gets it wrong. The bond market always gets it wrong. And it's meant to get it right all the time, especially when we've got Trump telling us that he wants rates cut to 1%. What planet are we living on?
Yeah, but
with an economy that's growing at 5%.
Well,
it's ludicrous.
We are going to be looking at. I think we've just answered the question then, that which way the stock market's going up today.
Well, is it still? I don't know. Well, so the first move is often wrong. Let's find out what's going on.
But is that?
I wish I could have a screen where I could just look at the Nasdaq.
6975. If you're saying that this economy is going to grow at 5% with no more rate cuts, then stocks go higher, don't they?
I don't think that we need rate cuts. I think the whole narrative about rate cuts is not.
But what you're not going to get is a rate increase.
No, I don't. Did I ever say that? I never said we're going to raise rates. I just said that. Listen, I reckon we might get.
No. Hang on, step back. If you are saying that Kevin Walsh is an inflation hawk and will not listen to Trump in any way, and your economy is running hot, with it you've just seen, wage growth was higher than expected, non-farm number was higher than expected, unemployment's going down, you've got to raise rates.
The only time they need to raise rates is if inflation becomes a problem. A hot economy is great as long as it doesn't become hot inflation.
Well, we might find that out tomorrow.
So if we've got a 9% GDP and inflation stays where it is, that's fine, but
5% GDP.
Their mandate is inflation, mate. So the bottom line is that are they going to start raising rates because one wage number was a bit higher? We need to have core inflation go higher for him to raise rates. That might happen. It might not happen. All I'm saying is that they might cut 25, they might cut 50 max, but then what? They're not going to cut. What are you suggesting? They're going to cut down to what? What are you suggesting?
No, I'm saying there shouldn't be any, but you're going to get it. The market's still telling you you're going to get it.
I think there probably will be a rate cut. Maybe 25, maybe maximum 50. Is that going to make any difference to anything? Not really. I think it's all a lot of noise unless something dramatic changes. And it will boil down to
the
inflation.
S&P trades over 7,000 in the next 48 hours.
Quite possibly.
Right. Well, let's bloody buy it then.
Quite possibly.
Why would we sit here not buying it if that's what?
Well, we're quite long already, aren't we? I don't know.
We are a little bit long.
Quite long. I bought some more Oracle pre-market, by the way, everyone. I've got I've been trading that. Obviously, bought some more. I think that's going to 170 in the short term.
I like Lee's comment. Lee is saying that you're just tetchy because you're still on your detox. Are you still on your detox?
I'm not tetchy at all, but this is a subject that I know a lot about and I feel very passionate about, as do you. But I just find the whole nonsense. There's so much nonsense in this world that we have to digest every day. And one of those major nonsenses is Trump saying that he wants the same rate structure as Europe. I mean, give me a break. And him saying we're going to cut rates or having any influence over the Fed whatsoever. To me, it's all just nonsense. But what's not nonsense is the fact that the US economy is on fire and inflation seems to be somewhat under control. And that is very bullish for stocks.
Right, we got 2 new long positions then. We are long the S&P for this afternoon. We have just bought at 6,977, £10 a point on IG. Let's see how that goes as the show goes on. Also, I have added Relics. Chat to a good friend of mine, ex-Millennium hedge fund manager this morning, and he gave me some of his thoughts on Relics. Of course, this is the company that's been absolutely smashed in the last week because of the Anthropic legal plugin. Because 20% of their business.
We had a double whammy, right? We got that. We had that first Anthropic thing, and then we had that. What's the face? I forgot. God, the name has escaped me. That happened yesterday. with the additional tool that saw the likes of Charles Schwab getting hammered.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's go on to that in a second then. So you can see what Relics has done. Relics has dropped from £30 on the 21st of January down to £20.50. They haven't even had earnings yet. Earnings come next week. So this thing, having traded on 30 times earnings as short a time period as 2 years ago, right? 30 times PE ratio, not sales like we were talking yesterday, PE, is now on 15 times earnings. There haven't been any downgrades. Numbers are next week, and I am in. If you want to read more about it, it's in a big article in the Times this morning, right? The Times, I'll get that up for you in a bit. But
that's right.
Relics is a new position in the book, and that is going to potentially be there for the long term, unless it gets bid for tomorrow, of course, at £26.
Yeah, so Altruist, I can't pronounce that bloody name. They came out with launched this AI tax planning feature. So all the guys that provide those bits of software within their platform.
The wealth
I
managers.
actually did not. Yeah, the wealth managers. There she is. So Charles Schwab obviously took a hit amongst others yesterday. But you know, it was interesting. Within the space of a week or 2 weeks, we've seen two new AI tools which have impacted certain parts of the market quite directly. Meanwhile, the big guys, SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, who probably are dodging this bullet in reality for the time being, are just slowly finding their feet again nicely, which is good to see. But yeah,
you didn't admit whether you had something to eat last night or not.
No, I'm having dinner, but like very light. I had like a
what? You were fasting this time yesterday.
I'm fasting throughout the day. I'm having one meal in the evening and then fasting again. So I ate at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
I'm not sure what.
Still quite grumpy though.
I'm not kind of sure what fasting that is.
Yeah, fasting with food.
Right, we've I got that. Copper's doing well, so we're long copper as well. That is a new one. However, we have lost some money on shorting cable. So the dollar not actually.
Be careful with these FX trades, I think, mate. I mean, they're just the markets. The FX market's not buying it at all. And quite frankly, as you know what Martin Malone used to say to me. When it comes to FX, and I've sat next to and gone on the road with some of the smartest FX strategists in the world, and they've all said the same thing to me, that most of the time they don't have a clue. There's 50 variables that they have to look at for a currency. Obviously, that we know what the major ones are, but currencies are hard.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And you can see the way it's traded since that 130 number. It was trading at 136.68, dive bomb down to 136.20. I think I have traded that at the absolute low. What a shit print. Look at that. The two dots where I traded. The candlestick hardly even goes down that far.
You really nailed that one, mate. I don't know why you're mucking about in those things anyway. You've got so many stock trades to put on. It's very exciting.
Yeah, okay. So what stocks are you looking at then?
Well,
has anything changed on the back of this number? Oracle back to the highs again.
I bought some. I've got a position in Oracle, as you know. I traded it and bought it back pre-market before the print, luckily. So that's just rock solid. I bought some more SAP this morning. There's my small caps, which are this Fubo situation to me is one of the most mispriced situations I've ever seen. And I dodged the numbers in terms of my size, so I can look at this with fresh eyes. 43% revenue growth. They're doing their synergies with Disney. This company is absolutely a screaming buy, in my opinion. So I've got that one. I might buy another clip of that one today. And then I've got my small cap Illuma, who are reporting tonight. They're going commercial with their business, which is really getting very exciting, very interesting, switching from the non-commercial to the commercial side of the business. Netflix, I did a piece on that this morning. Listen, can we just update everyone on this Netflix situation, because it's really interesting.
Well,
Can we do that quickly?
Can we? Yeah, I want to have a quick look at FTSE first, because FTSE looks like it's at a potential breakout.
Wow,
level.
Look at that.
Right.
Look at that.
That's a nice chart, isn't it?
It just looks so strong, doesn't it?
Right. I'm gonna let's have a little bit. £2. Well, that's £4 a point in total, because it's 2 contracts. So we're going long, because I believe in the GBP coming off. So a lower GBP, remember, that's beneficial for all the big multinationals in the FTSE. and you'll see that potentially on a breakout there. Let's see if that would be all-time highs. Yes, it would be. That would be all-time highs. So, right, take me through Netflix.
So I think it's worth anyone who has not been up to speed on this. So, first of all, this activist investor who have about $10 billion at their disposal. They've been building a stake in Warner Brothers Discovery, only $200 million worth, so that's 1% to be clear. So they don't have any voting rights or any sway whatsoever. But their plan, according to them, is to build up a bigger stake, launch a proxy fight against the board of Warner Brothers Discovery, and they're claiming, and quite frankly, I think it's quite a valid claim, that, and there's so much politics going on in the background here, that Warner Brothers are not acting in the interest of their shareholders. Warner Brothers board have basically said to their shareholders, no matter what Paramount offers us, say no. That's essentially what they've said, right? And we all wonder why that is, because the bid coming from Paramount is the same bid that's coming from Trump and Jared Kushner and all this crew on the right, right? CNN is on the table, of course.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the most political M&A situation I think I've ever seen in my life. It's so blatantly obvious what's going on. They've literally said to their shareholders, do not say yes to Paramount. Even though Paramount have said they're going to pay they'll pay the break fee, $2.8 billion. They'll pay that for them. Plus they've had this sweetener where they pay 25 cents a share to every shareholder per quarter that it doesn't get done from January 2027. It's called a tick. I don't even know what that means, but it's a new thing they've added in. So,
okay, there's a lot of money behind this. Am I on the right stock here?
Yeah, Paramount Skydance, that's the one, yep. So Paramount, and so this deal had already been signed by Netflix at $27.50 a share.
Yeah.
Right? So, and everyone, and again, there's so much politics back and forth, but I just think you have to be really careful here and think about what's on the table, what assets are on the table, and what players are playing this game.
Yeah. A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes.
It's very, very, very political, and Paramount have a bottomless pit of money, right? They've got the Saudis there. They've got the Trump. I mean, it's fascinating. And there's a massive antitrust mess behind it as well. So
Is there a trade?
The only thing that I'm obviously, do we still have a position in Netflix in the book?
We're short the $80 calls.
Okay, I've got a naked long equity position in my book, mainly because it's oversold, but also every moment that the market feels like this deal might not get done for them, it kind of perks up a bit. So,
right.
We'll see.
Up 70 basis points today, $82.70 currently.
Sorry, which one?
Netflix.
Yeah. Okay.
82.70.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it hasn't really moved much, has it? Listen, it's probably getting involved in deals is the only reason why Netflix looks attractive to me is because it's just so oversold, and it's just kind of the downside risk is quite limited. But I think this is one to just get the popcorn out and watch, quite frankly. I mean, you could have a crack at Warner Brothers Discovery because they're basically...
Well, it's not going down, is it?
No, I mean, they're fighting for this thing big time. And Paramount have basically said they're going to pay anything for it. Plus, they're going to pay the shareholders extra cash to say yes.
Yeah.
It's crazy what's going on, actually, if you think about it.
That kind of special sits arbitrage is not my
forte either. I like to just watch because who knows what's going to happen, quite frankly. I think we'll just stick to the piece. So there's lots of little interesting things going on in the small caps, but I'm kind of shying away from the small caps, to be honest with you, at the moment, trying to focus on companies that make money. And I've got the QQQ short as my hedge still, which was looking pretty fantastic until we got that non-farm payroll print, which I'm still trying to scratch my head over, quite frankly.
Why?
Well, just because tech was very heavy and underperforming, so a spiking yield shouldn't mean the Nasdaq suddenly takes over. Having said that, stocks are stocks, and the stocks like...
And the economy is the economy, right?
And the economy is the economy. And I think what that tells you a lot about is that the market was nervous about a weaker number.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, okay.
But
because in this case, good news is good news.
Now which
is quite unusual, by the way.
Yeah. Do the nerves go to the CPI tomorrow now?
Well, CPI is now on
Friday?
Friday, and well, I mean, yeah, all eyes on the CPI again, right? So
let's have a look at that, guys.
That's the thing that could spoil the party, big time. So it's only one print, so
2.5% expected on CPI. So even if it comes in at 2.6, like who cares,
it's
right?
amazing though. We're all the way down at 2.5, right? What are we? We were up at 7.
Yeah.
But listen, the inflation is the boss at the end of the day, and we'll see what happens on Friday. Listen, if we get a hot number, something hot, it's going to have to be very hot, I would imagine. It would be something like 2.8 or 2.9 or even 3 to cause a massive stir. Imagine that. It's hard to tell really what's going on. It's also hard to tell whether these numbers are even real.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be I'm going to be on the train on Friday when that comes out. Going up to Scotland for the weekend.
Nice.
See my dear mother.
See your mum, yeah.
The one, my mother. First time Piers met my mother, we were at a restaurant called the Chiltern Firehouse, and the 5 of us were sitting around the table having dinner, and Piers was complaining because the weekend previous he had been at a family event. And he said, oh, it was awful. I was just having to go around and meet all my aunties, and I was just kissing 60-year-olds all weekend. And of course, my mum turned around and said, excuse me, Piers, what's wrong with kissing 60-year-olds?
Yeah, that was not a strong start to that conversation. Your dear old mother, I hope she's in good spirits, mate.
Very good spirits indeed. So, right, it is 6 minutes past 2. We've got 24 minutes until the US markets open for business on this non-farm Wednesday. Don't think I've ever said that before.
No, ever.
No. We'll have a quick 2-minute break here. And while we're on it, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Yeah, if you like the YouTube, actually, give us that thumbs up button. Be nice to see how many we could get those this afternoon. And we'll see you again in 2 minutes.
Isn't it?
Right, going going on air early today for non-farm. Set off my schedule. I went and got lunch.
Yeah.
Went and got lunch from Farmer J. Have you ever been to Farmer J?
I haven't, mate.
Got us good salmon. Bit
love
of salmon, bit of broccoli.
I noticed that you're one of those guys who does it. You've got your salad, but then you eat it sort of 3/4 and throw a quarter of it away. What's that about? It's
It's my diet.
quite feminine of you. Yeah. Okay.
He's trying to get his own back now. Right, so we need your help today then on the chat. What would you like us to talk about? Obviously, it's the show's 20 minutes longer than normal.
Mosaic.
So
Talk about Mosaic.
give us any questions. Mosaic. That's a
fertilizer
2007.
company from the past, isn't it? I don't think I think I traded. The last time I spoke to anyone about that stock was in 2014. Literally. Wow. Interesting.
So there was a great thing in late 2007 where there was the chase for all these commodities, just like we're having now, and food was a huge problem, which just like was it GoldenEye was the James Bond film when food and water were the problem, we were running out of water.
Question. Not sure.
But anyway, so everybody piled into Monsanto and Mosaic, and then of course that led the German company to take over Monsanto, and that did them well, didn't it? Is it BASF?
Correct. Yeah, that was a solid company. I've just noticed that the DAX, sorry, the Nasdaq is making. The Nasdaq and the DAX have gone in opposite directions since that print.
Why would that be?
I'm just trying to figure it out, because the whole thing is very, very odd, if you ask me. As to what's going on. I mean, listen.
It must be the rotation.
But listen, but we've been rotating. No, but now it's rotating back.
Yeah. So it's the end of the rotation because the U.S. economy is.
And for the viewers, I think we should probably talk about this, right? So we've seen a rotation into the FTSE and into Europe. Less so, actually. It's been more focused on we did Europe earlier on. Europe was 2025, an aggressive rotation into Europe and the DAX, right? To build on all that fiscal spending. Then that cooled down. Everyone thought it was the end of US exceptionalism. Then that rotated back and we got straight back into the US. Then we've rotated in fits and starts back into value and equal weight S&P, etc. Now we're at a point where the market's like, do we want to rotate back into big tech? Are we sure about the US economy? What's quite going on here? But I just think it's interesting to note that the Nasdaq, which has been heavy and underperforming since those prints this morning, since those prints half an hour ago, have gone in opposite directions. SAP and Oracle have gone like that, right? And I'm just looking at those two, for example, and the DAX is, basically goes in exactly the same direction as SAP anyway. But I just think it's very. Trading in the aftermath of macro data, in my experience, is never a particularly good thing to be doing. I think sometimes it takes 10 minutes, sometimes it takes 2 hours, sometimes it takes 2 days for the market to digest exactly what it is that we're looking at here. Nonetheless.
What do you think this changes any of the story on gold? Gold really starting to gain momentum again, yeah. Bayer, that was it. Thank you, Jugger. It was Bayer was the stock that basically committed corporate suicide by buying Monsanto with huge allegations. Let's look at the Bayer chart since it made that acquisition back. So the stock dropping from 140 down to 20 euros. An otherwise fantastic company that has been hit with that litigation in these years.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of one of the reasons why I just stopped looking at these companies, apart from the fact that I switched my focus to the US.
Yeah.
Just because of the sheer noise and unpredictability of them. Right? I don't have any feel for this is a special situation, but the fertilizer story, which is how we got onto this subject in the first place, is one that I find very noisy, very monopolistic in a way.
What would you guess that the Mosaic price has done since 2014?
And do you know what? And I have not looked at it once, by the way. Oh God. I'm going to go ahead and say it's done well. I would say it's
14,
probably up like 200%, maybe 100%. And I could be miles off. I haven't looked.
Wow, 2022.
I would have been right if you'd asked me that a few years ago. Well, hang on. Between 2020, wait, go back, right, all the way back. So I was completely wrong. It's gone down. So
it's almost, in fact.
So and by the way, by mistake or not, I got I stopped looking at this space because that's why I stopped looking at it.
Yeah.
Because it's gone. Because it's a nothing.
It's just a pile of dung, isn't it?
It's just absolute crap. Forget about it. Move on. Next subject. Look at it. Well, how long is that? Almost a decade, and you've made zero money, and they don't pay you a dividend either. So what's the point, right?
Oh, what you could have been in tech in that.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
However, I tell you what, I was speaking to my hedge fund friend again this morning. Have a look at ArcelorMittal. Have you seen these guys? So the steel company, Europe's biggest steel company, one of the biggest in the world. Its performance in the last 9 months? Look at this, Buckworth.
Yep, I'm looking. Yeah, no, Mittal's insane, man.
For a European.
Absolutely insane. And you know what? It's a bit frustrating because I've discussed this breakout, which is exactly where your cursor is right there, with clients when it happened. And it was a very key, it was a 5-year, maybe even a 10-year breakout from a range in a very, very important, no one probably knows it better than you do.
Yeah.
It was such an important company that had been stuck in a range and done dead money. There you go. Look at that chart, guys. Dead money for a decade, this thing. And they had a major breakout, and I spoke about it with clients, and I just didn't look at that, by the way. And I didn't look at it again because it's just not really my focus, but I wish I had. And quite frankly, that chart looks like it's going higher.
I will always have very fond memories of this because the reason it's called ArcelorMittal is because Lakshmi Mittal bought Arcelor. And this was a big M&A deal in 2006. And it was my first week trading the mining stocks and the steel stocks. Boom, it hit the screen. And I think we made, that was the first day I ever made $1 million in one day, was because of the Mittal bid for Arcelor, because we had all the mining stocks, we had the other steel stocks, ThyssenKrupp, everything. And another one that's pretty much exactly the same price as it was back then, having done a round trip up to 200 and down to 10.
Someone just asked, can you look at the long-term technicals for Mosaic? That is exactly what we just did, is it not?
No, that question was from before we looked at it.
No, but that was a separate question.
Oh, really? Do you want to have a look at it again?
Yeah. Please talk about Mosaic Company long-term technicals. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I hope we've answered the question on Mosaic Company. Personally, I don't touch it anymore, but that chart, that very long-term chart, and by the way, let's just use this as another opportunity to highlight the charts that you should be looking at. Zoom all the way out to look at where a company actually is versus looking at these short-term candles, which I think is a lot of people fall into the trap of doing. If you look at that chart, which is what, a decade, it's just a zero. It's less than zero.
Talking about getting candles out, Valentine's this weekend. Are you up to much?
Well, it is. I'll be in New York with my family doing family things. I think we're going bowling actually in the Hamptons on. Is it the 14th?
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. East Hampton bowling alley. Quite niche.
The difference in our lives, I'm going to be on a train up to Scotland and you're going to be bowling in the Hamptons.
It's just, yeah, well, it's
makes me sick.
Family. Something like that.
Right, we with 10 minutes to go, let's have a look at the pre-markets in the US, and then we're going to talk about Diageo because.
Can we talk about Diageo? It's about time. I've taken a lot of slack for this, including in my own group, by the way.
Let's have a look at Diageo because this is really starting.
Not to mention any names.
Look at.
Which is fair enough.
18. It's now starting with 18.
It has an 18.
Wow.
Doesn't it? It should be having it. It should be what? So what language are we in? What currency are we in? We're in pounds, right?
We're in pounds, and we're on a daily chart.
By the way, just give me the 50-day moving average, please.
Right, do you want me?
Someone give me the 50-day, because this is exactly the trade that I mentioned. This is what I said. At the very least, this will go back to the 50-day because that is what I mean. That from a technical perspective, it's almost free money. Dare I say? That's not the 50-day.
That is a 20, a 50, and a 100. So that That,
What? Are you serious?
yeah, that
So
must
smashed
that's
through the
20.
50-day already?
That's the, yeah.
Nah, that can't be right. You
And
sure
through the
about that?
100.
Sure about that?
I wouldn't have thought it was through the 100.
No, it hasn't, mate. That's wrong. That's not right.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. I wish I had.
Well, let's go back 100 days. What's
Dare I
that?
say
That's
Bloomberg screen
3
front.
months, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
but I mean,
just over 3
50
months.
days, the 50 day. I suppose it depends on your parameters, though. Mate.
Yeah, three months ago it was at £18. So therefore, the 3 month it's now above £18.
Okay, so you've got different parameters. Yeah, sorry. Okay, fine. All right, fine. It's not.
Yeah, I've got different parameters. 50 days in my world is different from 50 days in your world.
Over what period of time?
50 days.
Yeah, no, but yes, but it depends. What's the time frame of your chart? Because I can guarantee you, if I pull up the actual 50-day moving average on Bloomberg, it would be completely different to that.
So, like, what do you take?
Can I just get it for you? How do I
Right,
get
go
it?
on.
What do you think? Anyway, whilst we're talking about that, it's we haven't heard anything new from the company. This is essentially this is a company that's, I've mentioned it many times, it's deeply undervalued on some of the parts, if you ask me, but the market's rotated into defensive and unloved parts. Is it sniffing out some form of kitchen sinking turnaround moment from Dave Lewis? Perhaps. I can't wait to hear from him.
I don't know if it is that from when we've had that rotation, right? Diageo is the perfect stock for that rotation. I think if we looked at another beverage stock such as Anheuser-Busch, it's going to be exactly the same chart. Shall we do it? I haven't looked at it, so I don't know if that's the answer. But a 10% rally.
No, those are different charts for sure.
So InBev,
ABI.
yeah, there you go. So it's not anything to do with Diageo. It is the beverage sector.
Oh, sorry, you mean in terms of the recent rally?
Yeah.
The beverage sector's and bearing in mind the news flow for this space could not possibly have been worse about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Almost every day there was some sort of negative comment, whether it be a broker or a data point or something that I was just reading, which is often a moment where it's sort of like, this is the moment of max pain.
Thanks, Jacob. ABI is a totally different company to Diageo. Well, of course it is, but if you're investing in a beverage sector, right, how many other spirits makers are there? Give me another spirits maker to look at, and I'll judge that.
Yeah,
but
well, Remy, let's look at Remy Cointreau.
The same.
Remy,
right. And
RCO,
if this is up 10% in a week, then what forfeit does Jacob?
Well, no, but it's not though. Listen, Remy's there.
Up 10% in a week.
The entire space has had a bounce, but if we can put aside the petty arguments about this,
That's exactly the same chart as Diageo.
they're all the same.
Identical.
Yeah, very, very similar.
So it's nothing to do with Diageo. The market's not sniffing out anything. It's money moving into the sector.
Exactly. That makes sense.
So should we then fade Diageo until we get the kitchen sink?
I have a very small position, which I'm going to hold into the kitchen sink, and there's two ways that can go, right? The market might, depending on the way he structures it, how the conference call goes, it could be a down and up, or it could be a down and then an up.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold a small enough position where I don't mind if we have even an 8. Listen, a 10% pullback from this level would be so aggressive, particularly with Dave Lewis presenting.
Yeah.
So, but my position will be small enough to handle a 10% move to the downside. Imagine if the market enjoyed what he said. It's not out of the realms of possibility. Look what Kering have just done. Do you have any idea how bad Kering's numbers actually are?
Yeah, true.
They're minus 20% growth, and they're a year and a half later, they're only minus 9%. And they were up 13% because the Renault CEO, who's now the CEO of Kering, basically said, it's all good, I've got this. Right?
I think he said that at Renault as well.
Yeah, Renault.
Right, 25th of February.
By the way, he did a really good job at Renault, just to be clear.
25th of February, next financial results, interim results for Diageo.
Yes, and that day is a big day on the 20th. We have Nvidia and we have Diageo, two big, very similar companies. I love that. Diageo up against Nvidia.
Anna and her bride is Anna Bridal. I assume that's a business, is it?
I assume so.
Intense watching.
Yeah, it is. Too much coffee for the two of us today, mate. But let's just calm it down for a second. Just be clear about this these unloved companies that are breaking through their 200-day moving averages. Let's do another one that I've also mentioned, and that is Ørsted. Okay, look at the chart and listen.
Remind everybody what the Ørsted do.
IG are a phenomenal company, but I just wish I could get a GPC chart up on that screen. Is there any way we can get a GPC chart? It would just be so helpful, because if you look at it, I've got one right here on my screen. It's just, you don't even have to speak. You can just look at the chart and it just says everything to you. Right, it's broken out above its 200-day, consolidated and broken again. And it's such a great case study for this kind of thing.
But remind everybody the story here.
So Ørsted are essentially offshore wind farms, and they have this one particular asset in the US.
It's this one.
Which has had a major headwind from the Trump administration, who tried to shut it down. 2 separate judges have vetoed the Trump decision. You know, I've done a lot. They did a hugely dilutive rights issue, which was right down there on the lows. I've been focused on it because I did the numbers, like a deep dive on this thing. And even if they did lose the American business, they still were like trading around fair value. So
if they did lose the American,
if they lost, they were trading like they were almost cheap, even if they lost that massive asset. So for me, it was just, but for the technical story is particularly interesting, right? These guys are, and again, I don't know whether we can mirror what I've got here, but it's really just tells such a clear story when you look at that GPC.
Right, GDX. Sorry, we have not spoken about the gold miners, so let's have a look at those. Because
there it is, by the way.
That's great for the viewers, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that great?
No. We are getting breakout in that gold mining ETF there, so that is just looking beautiful, despite having had a horrible ride in it. It's looking good, and that's looking like it's going back towards the highs.
It wants to, doesn't it? You know,
and so that's currently 105 it's trading, and up to 114.
Remember, these companies, the gold mining companies, they're making a fortune. Anything above 4,000, they're making a fortune.
Right, you're going to buy 75 only there at 105.58. So
I might buy back Pan American Silver. We'll see. They're also making a fortune. But the gold mining ETF GDX is probably a good way to go, mate.
Right, are we out of the way of danger? We've got a minute and a half to go. What's this market going to do on the open? S&P going through the highs right now. We're at 88. It's the year you were born, wasn't it? And
why do you keep saying that? 1982.
Nasdaq at 25,355, also going through the highs of the day. Germany can't even go positive.
Interesting, don't you think?
Vol dropping ahead of that inflation print on Friday is brave.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Although, having said that, every single data point we get in the macro world is just Goldilocks, 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 Goldilocks. So,
are we going to trade 7,000 on this open?
I really hope so you can stop talking about it.
Well, we're long £10 a point, so let's hope so.
I mean, it's all just very bullish, isn't it, today? It's very interesting.
Right, with 45 seconds before it opens, where do I start to take profit on Oracle? Because it's at 163 now.
Yeah. I think. Well, listen. I think that
just close our eyes and hold it.
I think just hold on to it, mate. I think it's just see how it's got that. I think hold on to it at least for today, right?
Okay.
I think today's not the day to be selling it.
Right.
Might squeeze out 165 today.
So the guy surprised us with a bell ringing from the NYSE yesterday. Let's see if we're going to get that again today. Is that on the cards? Because we've got 10 seconds left until this 11th of February. There it is. It looks like we're going to get it. Oh, no, they've got onto an advert. Or is this the sponsorship for...
We get us on the screen. There we go.
Parky thinks Parky's saying NVIDIA up 2.2%. Here is the bell ringing at...
And we are off.
LSE instead. So, looking at the big moves, we don't know why Moderna's down 10, do we? Moderna had numbers today?
Yeah, we do. I know exactly why Moderna's down 10. I was going to talk about it, yeah. So Moderna are battling a bunch of problems. One of which is that the 90% of their business comes from vaccines. Overnight, the FDA blocked their application for their flu vaccine. Bearing in mind, this company's just rallied about 80% off its lows, had a big short squeeze. Part of that was to do with the Merck collaboration, the melanoma, and the fact that they are showing chinks of light in their cancer pipe. And let's be honest, if they do manage to convert the cancer pipe, the stock's going a lot higher.
Incredible.
But for the time being, we're dealing with the reality of their huge reliance on vaccines.
Okay.
So stocks come off, probably a buying opportunity, but I'm going to keep an eye on it.
Right. Then we got Home Depot down 1.8. We got Palantir up. Palantir down 1.4, back down to 137. So all the talk we had yesterday, I like this stock at 125. Very neutral on it at 145. On the upside, you saw a huge move there, and it is Micron. Micron up 9%. Piers, what's going on there?
Wow, okay. Well, Micron up 9%. Well, I mean, listen, I haven't seen any news in the last hour, so let me find out what's going on here.
So this is just back to the momentum.
It looks to me like the market's just, the machines are just grabbed. Oh no, it's more. It's had a big upgrade. And they're presenting it. So a bunch of things going on.
Okay.
Risk back on, momentum back on, management speaking at a conference, 2 upgrades. I saw that Deutsche Bank as well came out today pushing their 500 price target. So throw that all in the basket. I'm just happy that I've stepped away from semiconductors because they're in as my mother used to say, the too hard basket.
Right where she was putting you.
Yeah, exactly right.
Nvidia 192 trading up 2% there. Intel up 3 after a shocking day yesterday. Could not survive above that $50 mark. Tesla 431, 420 yesterday, 430 today. Is it going to keep on going? And we've got AMD trying a recovery there, 216.
Yeah, so it's back to the same trade. Semiconductors, memory, tech, but this is the US market open. Literally anything could happen. I mean, look at this open for Oracle. It's one of the strangest things I've seen.
Spotify up 5%. Have you got a personal account? You enjoy listening to yourself more, don't you?
I do. I do actually. I pay Spotify however much it is per month. I use it a lot.
Tenner? Is it still a tenner? Who knows?
Something like that. Who knows? That's the best part, isn't it, for them?
Yeah.
Right.
With all of them. Couldn't tell you what I pay for Spotify. No. I don't pay YouTube anymore. Netflix.
No, I mean, I think it's $9.99.
Amazon
Prime.
Apple Cloud.
Yeah, I mean, I've got
Google Cloud.
£160 worth of the bloody subscription per month.
Yes. Tell us what your best subscription story is. How I've got a Bloomberg subscription. I've got no idea how to cancel it. £30 a month.
What?
Tell us what you're paying for that you just realised that you're paying for, and it's probably cost you about £400, £500 over the years. But with Micron struggling at 400, actually, it's only up 7 now. Then we can see the big movers on the morning out. So how's that leaving the index? Still around those
very,
highs.
very, very bizarre moves on the open here. Wow,
Let's just check what the 0 DTE would be on the S&P for hitting 7,000. 8 ticks. If it goes, I don't know what to do there. Is there any value? It doesn't feel like a market where you're going to suddenly get a big turnaround and be in a 50-point sell-off, does it? It'd be a bit of a surprise.
It would be a little bit of a surprise, but it also wouldn't be a surprise, if that makes sense.
Right, okay. So basically nothing to do.
I don't have a hell of a lot of conviction in this tape, if I'm honest with you, especially between now and listen. I just added to my short. I'm going to add to my short in the Nasdaq.
Just been
in QQQ.
Somewhere. What have I just been hurt in?
Well, there's a lot of strange moves on the open, that's for sure. I mean, I'm adding 500 shares to my QQQ short, which I need to tell my community.
I've just been absolutely spanked in something. I don't know what it is. Uber is costing us 200. Uber down in this tape. No idea why Uber would be down on the day. Oracle's come off from 163 to 158. That's not helping.
Oracle's having a shocking open. Yeah.
What else is it though? Microsoft not great as well.
Software has been whacked again on the open. It's really quite interesting. And my little Fubo is being slaughtered. A very bad open. But I've got a feeling this is going to be one of these opens that is sort of kind of...
Well, they're just testing it. They're testing everything.
Some very strange moves. It's one to just step back from and just watch for a couple of hours, I think, to be honest with you, mate.
Right, well, let's do that.
Illuma, that's right. She's doing beautifully, of course.
So numbers are tonight.
Numbers tonight after market, and there was a press release yesterday which was about the appointment of this guy who is bringing 3 decades of experience in semiconductor photonics, which is a very specific technology that these guys are at the leading edge of. But the part which I thought was fascinating about it is that Jonathan Clampkin, who's the CEO and the academic and the brains behind this company, he didn't even mention in the press release title that they are starting to get interest in the commercial side of the business. And that's the next step. That's the next shoe to drop for this company, right? If they announce tonight on the conference call that they're starting to see orders trickle in on the commercial side of the business, this company goes from being, they're already very much real. They've got NASA and DARPA and 4 government departments giving them business, but they're going into the commercial world changes the game significantly. So
remind us what the market cap is, what you...
so market cap of this company is, as of today, is at $335 million. I need to double check what it is right now.
So sort of mid-cap.
In the US market, it's a micro cap, right? $350 million. But what I find most interesting about this is, so they did a cap raise because they've got so many orders coming that they need to fulfill from the government. There's no problem with the balance sheet whatsoever. But if you put these guys up against, say, some of their peers in the group of quantum and photonics, just take ones like QBTS or IONQ. They've got those companies, by the way, in that order, have got $79 million worth of revenue with a $13 billion market cap. Right, so and the difference is that the market knows about those companies and have kind of bid them up, and they're not even commercial. They don't even have a commercial business.
So you're saying this is a kind of an unknown. God, it's volatile, isn't it? It trades from 22 down to 14.
It's a very volatile stock, and it can never be until such time that they become mainstream. You can't have a massive position. I have $350,000, which is about 3.9% of the book. Never be more than
4% of your total portfolio.
Never be more than 5% of your total book in this stock.
Yeah. Also, it does trade with about a 50 basis point spread this early in the day, so it's worth watching. Make sure that you're not paying a wide spread there, unless of course you're buying it for the long term. And 0.5% doesn't matter if you think it can go up 100. S&P struggling a little bit, 6975. We are seeing, what's that 10-year yield doing?
So the 10-year yield is right here, and it is, oh God, sorry. Where's my 10-year yield? It's quite cool, isn't it? 10-year.
Should we have some music in the background?
Yeah, let's just put some music on while I try and find it. Here we go. 10-year yield, it was up 1.4% on its high. It's up 81 basis points, trading at 4.1764. Nothing really to see here.
So frankly, no real belief in that, in the non-farm number.
Just if a futures rebound to chart resistance before. Listen, there's not a whole lot to see here, quite frankly. And if the market fades back to where it was, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Right. I sold some more QQQ, as I mentioned on TV and into my group 15 minutes ago, which is a hedge, but nonetheless, as I said, I would be surprised actually if the market continued to rally. As I said to you when those prints came out, it makes no sense to me that we have a hot economy. And everyone's desperate for these rate cuts, and we're seeing hot prints everywhere we look, and equities are ripping. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, so let's sell some of the 6995 calls then. I'll sell £30 a point of that. It takes in $150. Pays for your lunch.
Cool, do it. Nice.
Oh, price no longer valid. So yeah, so we're selling £30 a point of the 6995s today because Pierce has decided that that is not going to, it's not going to get up there.
Yeah, I just don't. Listen. It would be strange to see this market ripping today. There's some very odd moves on the open. Software's decided to shit the bed again. Dollar yen hasn't moved a single inch during the last hour, just to be clear. Not a single inch. Copper is off the highs. What are we doing here? Silver is well and truly off the highs. I'm just not sure that I buy anything that I've seen today. Just in terms of how odd it all is.
Talk about not buying things. What about your absolute worst stock in the world? PayPal.
PayPal. Yep. What are we doing today in this one? PayPal is.
How's that going?
It's knocking about on the lows. It's still. I mean, it's higher than where it was 4 days ago, but it's testing the lows again. No, it's not.
This thing honestly trades like the biggest seller in the world is just...
Yep, I'm buying some more of it. There we go.
There's the biggest buyer in the world.
Such a massive whale hitting it.
Because, yeah, talk about that price action. It's weird, isn't it?
There's a lot of weird things going on, if you ask me, mate. Very weird things going on.
Yeah, I mean...
yeah, very, 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 very
weird. Downgrade, is there? Can't possibly be a downgrade.
Doubt it, right?
Can't be new. No, it's an old one. Yeah, strange, but certainly, yeah, no recovery from.
Listen, there's lots of odd stuff going on, but mate, I don't need to tell you this. Trading around the US Open is a mug's game most of the time, especially after the bloody non-farm payrolls. Right? We shouldn't be touching anything. We should be waiting until the algos kick in tonight and work out what's going on. The only thing I know is that some of these moves are opportunities. I bought some more. I'm going to buy some more Fubo. I'm going to add some more Oracle.
I think you're mad in that stock.
Which one?
Fubo.
You don't know anything about it.
Exactly. I don't want to know anything about
fine.
it.
Well, that's fine. I'll do that then. You do that.
Right, Bitcoin. So we got Tim the Chin. How's your cryptography coins going, Rich, today? Well, it's not going well today, is it? Look at that. No position at the moment, of course, in Bitcoin, apart from one thing I added to the portfolio this morning, which was how low do you think Bitcoin can go in the month, right? This is our poll for the day. How low can Bitcoin go by the 27th of February?
Interesting question, isn't it?
We're going to get that poll up, guys. So is this the low? Is 67,000 the low? Are we at the lows? Is it going to go to 63, 55, or 50,000? Right? Is Bitcoin, are we at the lows? Is it going to 63K? Is it going to 55K? Or are we going through 50,000? That is the poll for the day. And there is a reason behind it, because there is, of course, options market on the coin itself as well. But there are some people that believe, there are some that don't. How low do you think it goes by the end of the month?
By the end of the month, someone said 45. Hey, that's so aggressive.
3 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
I just have no idea, mate. Like asking me what direction is the wind going to blow in the next week? I have no idea.
You probably think you know that more than you know.
I probably have a better idea of predicting that than that.
Right, so that poll is going to be up in a minute. It looks like it's going to be a popular one, seeing as we got people jumping in with guesses before we even set off. You're right, the tape doesn't feel great. The NASDAQ does, but...
In places, yeah. Semiconductors.
We're talking about 15 basis points, right? We're not...
The market's not really doing anything, but listen, I just want to reiterate, I'm sorry to be boring, but I just don't... Trying to work out what the market's doing after a non-farm payroll print on the open is just...
So we just finished the show then?
No, there's no point in trying to confuse everyone. Just don't trade too much right now unless you've got conviction in anything in particular. Just settle down.
No, that's good advice.
And watch what's going on. Let the market digest it all, and then and just take your time. We don't need to trade.
I tell you what, this Relics continues. So the software names continue to get hit, right? That might actually be...
Software and semis have flipped back to where they were, up and down, so far.
It might actually be worth a prediction of where things are going to trade in the US in the afternoon by looking at the baskets that are being traded in the morning, right?
Yep.
If you look at RELX today, sorry guys, just if we can get that up. If you look at RELX today, this was clearly a software basket getting sold this morning, right? There we are, Wednesday from 10 past 8. This thing was trading at 21.30. So there's not any overnight news, right? This is a seller in the market that these baskets are going. And this is all the big American institutions go, hey guys, so you got some kind of AI loser basket? Can we trade that? I'm going to hit you in $100 million and you sell another 200 till the end of the day.
I'm so sorry to all my American viewers, by the way, that this is
right. And they don't even know what's in it. They don't care because Goldman's make these AI loser baskets and AI winners.
Yeah, they love a basket, don't
and they just stick on $300 million aside and that's the job done. This thing is getting sold and it's been getting sold all day. That should have told us exactly what was going to happen in the US this afternoon.
Quite possibly. But yeah, I bought some more Oracle when it was down 1% on the open. Topped up some Fubo, and that's it. I've got the QQQ hedge.
Let's see how this.
Just going to go and see where we're going.
Why are you torturing yourself in this absolute rubbish?
Because mate, listen, you have no idea what this company even does.
I don't need to.
You do.
I mean, I'm not a technical chartist, right? But that.
I'm not trading off the chart. I'm trading off the company and what's happening in what their Disney deal with Hulu is going to bring for the company in the next 3 months, and how grossly undervalued this stock is. And I'm very small, and I'm easing into it, and I'm happy as Larry.
You sound like that investor that was investing in Bear Stearns when it was down 30% on the Big Short when he's on stage.
These guys are not going out of business. I can guarantee you that.
I remember back in the day. So my research analyst for the retail sector, 2004, was a guy called Tony Charette. Tony Charette was the guy that got me in to Credit Suisse in the first place and gave me work experience in 2001. So Tony, there was a rumor that Marks and Spencer's was going to get bid for by Philip Green. So Tony got up in front of the whole trading floor and he said, mark my words, this company is not going to get bid for by Philip Green. Somebody stood up and shouted, Tony, it's on the tape. Marks have just been bid for from Philip Green. Literally, the poor guy was standing on the microphone.
That's a shocker.
Saying it, yeah. And woof, Marks and Spencer was up 20%. £4 was the takeover bid.
God, that's a bit of egg on the old face, isn't it, mate?
Yeah. And talking about stocks that have never gone anywhere, where is Marks and Spencer's trading today? £3.86. It has not gone anywhere in 22 years.
Yeah. A classic FTSE stock, that one.
Where were we? 2000 and... Was this the weekly I'm looking at?
Look at little Oracle. There she is. Okay. Going to fight its way back. So
there it is. There's the bid there. The May the 31st, 2004. Marks and Spencer's jumping £2.80 to £3.5.
Interesting.
But of course, Philip Green didn't get it. Philip Green and Richard Caring. And that is why Richard Caring now owns all the Ivy restaurants and Caprice.
It's all our money.
And Annabelle's.
Correct.
Because
sexy fish.
On the Friday, he thought he was going to give up Topshop and with Philip Green walk into Marks and Spencer's HQ on the Monday and start managing it, running it. And over the weekend, Marks and Spencer's board parachuted in Stuart Rose, saved the company, and Richard Caring was unemployed on the Monday morning and had a shitload of cash. So he went and bought the Ivy and Caprice Holdings.
Did quite a good job with it. Runs at very, very thin margins in those things.
He's probably made more money than that from Marks and Spencer's, to be fair.
Correct. Agreed.
Good. Right. It is 10 to 3. I think you've probably had enough of us today. So let's see where we've got this Bitcoin. God, you're very bearish, you lot. You really are. If we can finish that poll. How low is Bitcoin going? 7% of you think it has already reached its low. there is 26% saying it's going to 50,000, sub 50,000. But the majority of you saying that it's going down to 55,000. So 20% lower than where it is. Well, you can make money from that because if you're a professional client, of course, on IG, then there are Bitcoin options. And you can see I have sold one of the Bitcoin 52,000 puts for February the 27th it is, so 2026. And I've taken in $243 for doing that. So as long as it doesn't go down to 52,000, then we're all right. That's a little $240 coming in. But of course, remember, there's always risk on selling options, isn't there? Much more risk.
Yeah, risk in doing anything in this business called trading. Busy day, but hectic for the viewers today.
A 25% drop would be significant.
It would be,
considering how much it's already gone down.
Yeah, agreed.
We're gonna
should we finish on just 30 seconds on Robinhood?
That came out of nowhere. All right.
It came out of nowhere because I got a whole bunch of stuff on my sheet here we haven't even talked about. But I know everyone cares about Robinhood. And listen, there's one takeaway from Robinhood which I think is worth noting is what they said, what Vlad said about prediction markets. Right? Obviously, these guys are having their piece of the pie. He said that prediction markets are going to grow. They currently have grown into a 12 billion event contracts traded in 2025. 12 billion. And he sees this growing into a multi-trillion-dollar industry and being a huge source of growth for them. Overall, Robinhood's numbers were lower, right? They're trading on 35 times forward, 26% revenue growth, moving to 17 next year. They missed their revenue numbers. Crypto hurt for them, so the stock is down. But that's all a bit noisy. The bit that I was really interested in was what he was saying about prediction markets. Not telling us something we don't know, which is prediction markets are on fire. It'd be interesting to see what the regulators have got to say about this. But we need to get our thinking caps on about which companies are going to be the ones to win the prediction market game.
Yeah.
Because it's a very, very, very hot game.
Could be IG.
It could be IG. Whoever it is, they're going to be making a lot of money. 12 billion contracts.
They have you seen the video of the streaker who went on to the?
He bet on himself. What a legend.
He bet on there being a streaker to enter the field.
Yeah.
Insider trading? Don't know.
Yeah.
But even better, he had Meta glasses. So it is the best advert for Meta glasses you've ever seen. So if you get a chance, go on TikTok or Instagram today and have a look at NFL. Super Bowl streaker. Who knows what you could come up on that?
Yeah,
but it's certainly worth because you see it from his point of view, and it feels like you're running for a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Oh, this is a weird market. All right, they've probably had enough of us today, mate. So
I've had enough of you. So.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Very noisy session. Always is with the macro data like that, but
so we get a break from you for next week.
Yeah, I'm going to be I'm going to try and dial in on Tuesday.
You want to dial in Tuesday?
I'll try. Yeah,
okay.
Let's try and figure that out. Yeah.
From where?
New York. From either the Hamptons or Manhattan, one of those two.
Okay.
I might have to go. Actually, if it's Tuesday, it will be the Hamptons. Is that funny?
That's very funny.
Okay. It's a nice little setting with the what are they called? The hydrangeas behind you?
Yep. So join us on Tuesday for more myself and Piers, and then on Wednesday I've got a treat for you. Somebody that actually knows what they're talking about when it comes to the options market. There he is. When it comes to the options market, we have got Imran coming on to join us on Wednesday. You may have seen him before in Trade Live with IG. He is an options expert. He worked at Credit Suisse. He taught me options at Credit Suisse. Then he worked at Citi and Morgan Stanley. Fantastic options trader. We're going to do a little bit of a sort of dummies guide. So if you've never traded options before, it's worth the watch. But also he's got big views on the US tech show as well. So he is going to be Piers for the day. On Wednesday, Tuesday, you'll still see this man.
Peace, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and putting up with the banter. And I hope you found it useful. I hate days like this, but quite frankly, when the macro data throws everything into a bit of a tailspin. But we'll digest it. And Apex, I'll see you in the chat shortly and try and figure out what's going on in this market. Peace.
And yeah, have a look at Relics, because I don't know, that one's interesting. I'd love to hear people's views, and I'd love to hear ahead of numbers next week if you guys think that there's a warning coming, or if you think that we might see some kind of base after the American basket sellers are done.
I love a basket, Goldman basket.
Peace. See you next week.